Look, I don't want you with my daughter. Find someone like you. You're not the man for my daughter.
Have you ever heard that money doesn't define character? Well, some people still haven't learned that. This is the story of a man who was publicly humiliated, judged by what he had in his pocket, not by what he carried in his heart. He worked twice as hard, dreamed big, and had just met someone special. But when his mother-in-law discovered he was just an ordinary worker, she made it clear he wasn't enough. What she didn't know was that she was about to learn the biggest lesson of her life. And believe me, what happened next changed everything. So subscribe to the channel, like it, and comment where you're watching from. And let's get to the story. Marcus was 28 years old and the kind of guy you'd easily miss on the street. Nothing special about his appearance, simple clothes, and an old car that looked like it was about to fall apart at any moment. He worked as an administrative assistant at a logistics company in Denver, Colorado. He earned enough to pay the bills, eat, and have some spare change at the end of the month. Nothing more. But there was something different about him. Marcus never gave up on his dreams. From an early age, he was fascinated by technology. While other kids played soccer, he was dismantling old computers he found in the trash, trying to understand how they worked. His mother said he was born curious. His father, who passed away when Marcus was 15, always said, "Marcus, the world will try to tell you that you're not capable. But you don't listen, do you hear me? You work, you study, and you achieve." And that's exactly what he did. While working from 8 to 6, he spent his nights and weekends studying programming, systems development, and digital marketing. He was slowly building an online technology company. It was his secret project, his baby. No one knew about it, not even his closest friends. He wanted it to succeed before going public with it. Because up until that moment, he was still just poor Marcus, the guy who took the bus and ate takeout. It was a Saturday in March that he met Sarah. She was at a coffee shop near his work trying to fix her frozen laptop. Marcus was in line waiting for his coffee when he heard her cursing under her breath. He approached her a little awkwardly. "Sorry.
I don't mean to be a bother, but..."
"Can I take a look? I work with this." She looked up. Brown, bright, the kind that made anyone forget what they were going to say. She was about 26, with light brown hair falling to her shoulders and a shy but warm smile. "Seriously? You understand computers?" "More or less," Marcus said, smiling. Within 10 minutes, her laptop was working. It was just a simple glitch, nothing major. But to her, it was like magic. "Man, thank you so much. You saved my life. I have a really important paper due on Monday." The two chatted a bit more. Marcus discovered that she worked in graphic design, that she loved to travel, and that she was an only child. She had a lighthearted way of speaking and laughed easily. Before leaving, she gave him her number. "If you ever want to have a real coffee, call me." And he called her. Of course he did. They started seeing each other, always in simple places because Marcus couldn't afford fancy restaurants. But she never complained. They went to cafes, parks, and watched movies at home. Sarah was different from the other girls he'd known. She laughed at his bad jokes, listened to him talk about his dreams, encouraged him. She was real, you know? After 2 months of dating, she made the invitation. "Marcus, I wanted you to meet my mom. How about dinner at my house next Saturday?" His heart raced. Meeting her mother was a big step. It meant this was getting serious. "Sure, I'd love to." But inside, he was nervous as hell, because until that moment, Sarah hadn't exactly known his financial situation. I mean, she knew he wasn't rich, but she didn't know how much he actually earned, where he lived, that sort of thing. They just enjoyed their time together. On Thursday before dinner, Marcus was having lunch with his friend Dave, who worked with him at the company. "Dude, why are you nervous? It's just dinner. It's just, I don't know, Dave, her mom is different." Sarah mentioned that her dad was a businessman, that they have money. "And I'm me." Dave slapped him on the back. "Dude, you're a good person. Everyone here likes you. You're polite, hardworking, honest. If her mother doesn't see that, that's her problem, not yours." Marcus wanted to believe it. He really did. Saturday arrived. He spent the entire afternoon picking out clothes. He didn't have many options, but he tried to dress up. He put on a pair of jeans that were still in good condition, a light blue dress shirt he'd bought on sale, and a pair of shoes he'd borrowed from Dave because his were all worn out. He put on hair gel and perfume. He did what he could. Sarah lived in an upscale Denver neighborhood. Huge houses, immaculate gardens, imported cars in the driveway. When Marcus pulled up in an Uber, Because he wasn't going to show up in his old car, his stomach sank. The house was massive. 2 stories, classic American style with white columns at the entrance and a lawn that looked like something out of a magazine. He took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. Sarah opened the door, looking beautiful as ever in a light green dress and with a huge smile on her face. "Marcus, you came." She hugged him tightly, and for a second all the nervousness went away. "Of course I came. I wasn't going to miss it." She pulled him inside. The house was even more impressive inside. Marble floors, crystal chandeliers, furniture that looked like it had come straight out of a luxury catalog. Marcus felt completely out of place. "Come, my mother is in the living room." They walked into the living room, and there she was, Margaret, Sarah's mother. She was about 52 with neat blonde hair, expensive clothes, and a straight posture. She was sitting on the couch holding a glass of wine, and when she saw Marcus, her eyes scanned him up and down. You could tell someone was judging him, you know? And she was. Every inch of him. "Mom, this is Marcus." "Marcus, this is my mom, Margaret." Marcus held out his hand, trying to smile. "Nice to meet you, ma'am. Sarah speaks highly of you." She shook his hand quickly, almost disinterestedly. "Nice to meet you. Have a seat." Her tone was already cold. There was no warmth, no welcome, just forced politeness. They sat down to dinner. The table was immaculate. Candles, china, silverware. Marcus felt like he was in a 5-star restaurant, but much more uncomfortable. Sarah tried to make conversation, talking about her work, about a new project she was working on. Marcus tried to join in, but Margaret barely looked at him. Until, halfway through the meal, she dropped the first bombshell. "So Marcus, what do you do?" He swallowed hard. "I work at a logistics company. I'm an administrative assistant." She took a sip of wine, never taking her eyes off him. "I see, and how much do you earn?" Sarah's eyes widened. "Mother! What?" "That's a valid question, Sarah." Marcus felt his face heat up, but he tried to remain calm. "I earn enough to live well. I pay my bills, I don't owe anyone anything." Margaret gave a fake smile. "That's great. Because you know that Sarah, she has a certain standard of living, right? She spends a lot. The money you earn in a month, she spends in 3 days." The silence that fell over the table was awkward. Marcus looked at Sarah, who was red-faced with embarrassment. "Mom, stop it. I'm just being realistic, honey. He needs to know what he's getting into." Marcus didn't know what to say. He stood there, silent, his blood boiling inside, but without the courage to react. He didn't want to create a scene, didn't want to ruin everything with Sarah. The rest of dinner was terrible. Margaret continued with subtle comments, constantly putting him down. When it was over, Marcus thanked her for the food, said goodbye as quickly as possible, and left the house. Sarah followed him to the sidewalk, her eyes welling up. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. I didn't know she would be like this." He held her hand. "It's not your fault, Sarah, but I don't think your mother will accept us together. She made that very clear. I don't care what she thinks. I like you." Marcus smiled, but inside he was devastated. He kissed her on the forehead and left. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He kept replaying everything in his head. Margaret's words, the way she looked at him as if he were nothing, as if he weren't enough. And the worst part? She wasn't wrong. He really didn't have the money. He really couldn't give Sarah the kind of life she was used to. But damn, did it really matter that much? Marcus always believed that who you are is worth more than what you have. His mother raised him that way. But there, in that house at that dinner, he realized that for the rest of the world, that wasn't true. On Monday, he went back to work, trying to forget the weekend. But it was hard. Sarah had texted him, apologizing 1,000 times, saying she'd talked to her mother. He told her not to worry, that everything was fine. But it wasn't. It was around 2 in the afternoon when his life turned upside down. Marcus was in the administrative area, organizing some documents, when he heard a loud voice coming from the reception desk. "I want to talk to Marcus." "Where is he?" His heart sank. He recognized the voice. It was Margaret. Marcus ran out of his office, praying she wouldn't make a scene. But when he got to reception, she was already there, in the middle of the room with that air of superiority drawing everyone's attention. "Margaret, what are you doing here?" She turned to him, her gaze icy. "I came to have a conversation I should have had yesterday." Marcus looked around. His co-workers were all standing there staring. Dave stood in the doorway of his office, his mouth open. His boss had come out and was watching the scene. This was a nightmare. Look, can we talk outside, please? No, it's fine here. She crossed her arms and spoke loudly for everyone to hear. Look, I don't want you with my daughter. Find someone like you, Marcus. You're not the man for my daughter. She deserves someone who can give her what her father and I gave her. You're an administrative assistant. This is as high as you're going to get in life. And I'm not going to let you drag my daughter down. Marcus felt like he'd been punched in the gut. The silence in the room was deafening. Everyone had heard him. Every word. Every humiliation. He wanted to scream, wanted to tell her to leave, wanted to tell her she knew nothing about him. But his throat was closed. He could only whisper, "You had no right to come here and do that. I have every right to protect my daughter. Now, if you really care about her, you'll do the right thing and walk away." And she left. She simply turned her back and walked out, leaving him there in the middle of that room with everyone watching. Some with pity, some with curiosity, some chuckling softly. Dave came up to him and put his hand on his shoulder. "Man, what a crazy woman." Marcus didn't answer. He just returned to his department, sat in his chair, and put his head in his hands. That had been the worst humiliation of his life. Being judged, being belittled, being treated as if he were worthless, all because of money. He took out his cell phone and sent a message to Sarah. "Your mother came here to my work, in front of everyone. She said I'm not the man for you, that I need to leave you alone. Sarah, I really like you, but I don't know if we can face this. She'll never accept it, and I don't want you to have to choose between me and your mother." Her answer came quickly. "I choose you. I don't care what she thinks. I don't care about the money. I care about you. If she doesn't accept it, that's her problem. I'm going to talk to her now." His heart sank. Sarah was ready to defend him. But Marcus knew what that meant. She would have to fight with her mother. She would have to face a war. And all because of him. 2 hours later, Sarah called. She was crying. "Marcus, she kicked me out of the house." "What?" "She said if I wanted to be with you, I should move in with you. That she wouldn't support a daughter who made stupid choices. That I was throwing my life away." Marcus closed his eyes, feeling a mixture of anger, sadness, and determination. "Sarah, come to my house. We'll figure something out." "Marcus, I don't want to be a burden to you." "You will never be a burden. We face this together." And that's what they did. Sarah moved in with Marcus, in his small one-bedroom, one-living-room apartment in Denver's most modest neighborhood. It was a shock for her, of course. She was used to luxury, space, and comfort. But you know what she did? She adapted. She got a job as a freelance designer, started earning her own money, and split the bills with Marcus. They ate ramen noodles more often than they'd like to admit, but they laughed, supported, and loved each other. And Marcus? He worked like a madman. Daytime at the logistics company, nighttime and weekends at his tech startup. He barely slept. Sarah worried, saying he was going to get sick, but he couldn't stop. He had something to prove. Not to Margaret, but to himself. The company Marcus was building was an automation platform for small businesses. Something he'd seen was missing in the market. He studied, researched, and developed the system from scratch. And little by little, clients began to appear. Small businesses that needed to optimize processes and reduce costs. Word of mouth began to spread. Sarah supported him in everything. She designed the platform, created the marketing materials, and helped with presentations. They were a team. Husband and wife even before they were married. The months passed. The first year was difficult. There were times when Marcus thought about giving up. There were times when he looked at his account balance and wanted to cry. But Sarah always said, "We can do this, Marcus. I believe in you." And he believed it too, because he had no other option. Then, about 2 years after that horrible dinner night, things started to change. They really did. The company exploded. A major client signed with Marcus, and then another and another. The platform began to gain market recognition. He hired a small team, rented an office, and suddenly, within 6 months, he was making more in a month than he'd made in a year at his old job. Marcus quit his logistics job. Dave was happy for him even though he missed it. Marcus dedicated himself 100% to the company, and it grew even more. Investors began to show up. Buyout offers poured in, but he didn't want to sell. This was his dream, his baby. Sarah and Marcus moved out of their small apartment and rented a house. Nothing too flashy, but comfortable. with a backyard, a garage, and 2 bedrooms. They finally had room to breathe. And it was on a Friday night, after a dinner that Marcus had prepared for her, because he had learned to cook during those years of hardship, that he knelt down in the living room and took a small box out of his pocket. "Sarah, you stood by me when I had nothing. You believed in me when no one else did. You are my partner, my best friend, my love. Will you marry me?" She cried and said yes. The two scheduled the wedding for 6 months later. They rented a beautiful venue, booked decorations, catering, and a band. It was going to be a small party, just for friends and close family, but Sarah wanted to send an invitation to her mother. "Marcus, I know she was horrible, but she's still my mother. I want her to be there." Marcus didn't like the idea, but it was her wedding too, so they sent the invitation. Margaret didn't respond. The invitation returned unanswered. Sarah felt sad but tried not to show it. Marcus took her hand and said, "If she doesn't want to come, don't force her. We're going to have our party the way we want." And that's exactly what they did. The wedding was beautiful. Sarah was radiant, wearing a simple yet elegant dress. Marcus was nervous but happy. When the priest asked if he would take this woman as his wife, Marcus looked into her eyes and said the most sincere yes of his life. The party was incredible. Dave was the best man and cried more than the bride. His mother, who has always been like a second mother to Marcus, was there, proud. They danced, ate, and laughed until their stomachs hurt. It was the happiest night of their lives. Margaret did not appear. After the wedding, life went on. The company continued to grow. Marcus was already making 7 figures a year. He bought a real house in a nice neighborhood with a pool and everything. He traded in his old car for a new one. Sarah opened her own design studio. They were living the dream Marcus had always dreamed of. But you know what's funny? The more money he had, the less it mattered. What mattered was waking up next to Sarah. It was being able to help his mother, who had always struggled. It was being able to give opportunities to his employees. Money was just a tool. It wasn't who he was. 3 years after their wedding, Marcus was at the office when he received a call from an unknown number. He answered it somewhat unintentionally. "Hello?" On the other end, a voice he hadn't heard in years. Shaky, low, embarrassed. "Marcus, it's Margaret." He froze. He didn't know what to say. "Margaret, I know you don't want to talk to me. And I don't blame you, but I need to talk to you and Sarah in person, please." There was something in her voice. Desperation. Marcus looked at his phone, confused. "It is good too?" "No, nothing is okay. Please, Marcus, I need help," he sighed. "I'll talk to Sarah. We'll call you back." When Sarah found out, she was torn. On the one hand, she wanted to see her mother. On the other, she was still hurt by what had happened. But in the end, she agreed. Margaret came to their house 2 days later. When Marcus opened the door, he almost didn't recognize her. She had aged. Her hair was dull, with strands of gray showing. Her clothes were simple, none of the expensive ones she'd worn before. And her eyes. Her eyes were tired, defeated. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi, come in." The 3 of them sat in the living room. Sarah sat tensely beside Marcus. Margaret looked around, taking in the beautiful house, the new furniture, the paintings on the wall. You've built a beautiful life." Sarah didn't say anything. Neither did Marcus. Margaret took a deep breath and began to speak. "I know I was horrible to you guys. I know I don't deserve anything from you, but I'm desperate. After you guys left, I started making bad investments. I thought I knew what I was doing. I trusted the wrong people. I lent money to people who never paid me back, and I lost everything. The house, the cars, everything. I'm living in a tiny rented apartment. And now I have debts I can't pay. The creditors are suing me. I don't know what to do anymore." She began to cry. It was strange to see this woman who had always been so proud, so arrogant, breaking down in front of them. "How much do you owe?" Marcus asked calmly. She wiped away her tears. $437,000. Sarah's eyes widened. Marcus was silent for a moment. "And what do you want from us?" I wanted to ask if you could lend me some. I know it's a lot. I know I don't deserve it, but I'll pay it back, I promise. I don't have anyone else." All my friends disappeared when the money ran out. "I'm alone." Marcus looked at Sarah. She was crying too, but she didn't say anything. The decision was his. He got up and went to his office. He grabbed his checkbook. He returned to the living room and sat across from Margaret. She looked at him with eyes full of hope and shame at the same time. Marcus wrote the check. $437,000. I tore it off and placed it in her hand. She looked at the check in disbelief. Marcus, you're giving me this? It's not a loan. It's a gift. You don't have to pay me back. She began to sob, holding the check as if it were the most precious thing in the world. I don't know what to say. Marcus leaned forward and looked into her eyes. Margaret, I'll give you this money, but I want you to learn something. When you met me, you judged me by what I had. You humiliated me, belittled me, said I wasn't the man for your daughter. You called me a poor man in front of my coworkers.
you almost destroyed the most precious thing in my life. And why?
Because of money. She lowered her head, embarrassed. But you know what's saddest about all this, Margaret? You had it all. Money, comfort, a wonderful daughter. And you lost it. Not for lack of money, but for lack of character. You judged people by what they had, not by who they were. And in the end, you learned the hard way that money comes and goes. But the people you push away, they don't come back. Tears streamed down her face. I know, Marcus. I was an idiot. I was arrogant. I thought money was everything. And now I know it's not. You have a second chance here, Margaret. Use this money to start over. But more importantly, use this moment to change who you are, because in the end, that's what remains. It's not the money, it's not the house, it's not the car. It's who you were to people. It's how you treated others. It's the love you gave and received. Sarah stood and hugged her mother. They cried together. And there, in that room, something changed in Margaret. Humility appeared. Repentance appeared. A woman who had been broken by life appeared, but who maybe, just maybe, could rebuild herself better. Over the next few months, Margaret used the money to pay off all her debts. She got a simple job at a clothing store. For the first time in her life, she was actually working, earning her own money. And you know what's interesting? She became happier, lighter. She began visiting them both and began having a real relationship with Sarah. One day, she called Marcus to talk alone. Marcus, I know I'll never be able to repay you for everything you've done, but I want you to know I was wrong about you from day one. You were always man enough for my daughter. In fact, you were more of a man than I could ever see. Because being a man isn't about how much money you have in your bank account. It's about character. It's about honor. It's about standing by the ones you love even when things are tough. And you did that. You did more than any rich man I've ever known would have done. Marcus held her hand. Margaret, I forgive you. I truly do. Because holding a grudge isn't good for anyone. And because, in the end, you gave me Sarah. And she's the best thing that ever happened to me. She smiled, tears in her eyes. Thank you for giving me a second chance. Few would do that. Everyone deserves a second chance, including you. Today, 4 years after that disastrous dinner, Marcus looks back and sees how much they've changed. He's no longer the poor, nervous Marcus who felt small. He's the Marcus who built an empire from scratch, who married the love of his life, who learned that a person's worth is never in what they have, but in who they are. Sarah and Marcus are expecting their first child, a boy. They've already chosen a name, Daniel, after Marcus's father. Margaret is excited to be a grandmother. She knitted a blanket for the baby with her own hands. Who would have thought? Sometimes when Marcus is alone, he thinks about that night at work when Margaret humiliated him in front of everyone. And he thinks about how that could have destroyed him. But it didn't, because he chose not to let her words define who he was. Marcus also thinks about how many people out there suffer the same way he did. They're judged, belittled, and humiliated for not having money. And he wants these people to know one thing: money doesn't define anyone. What defines a person is their character, their effort, their ability to love and forgive. These things are worth more than any bank account. And if anyone is going through a similar situation, if someone is judging them, making them feel small because of money, Marcus would say, don't give up. Keep working, keep believing in yourself, because the world will try to tell you you're not enough. But you are. You always have been. Margaret learned the hard way that people are more important than money. And Marcus? He learned that true success isn't about how much you have, but about who you become in the process. Today, Marcus holds no grudges. He holds gratitude, because that humiliation gave him the will to keep going. That contempt gave him the strength to prove himself. And in the end, he didn't prove anything to Margaret. He proved it to himself, and that is priceless. This story resonated with me because it shows something we forget in our daily lives. A person's worth is never measured in their bank account. Marcus was judged, humiliated, and diminished, but he didn't let that define who he was. He worked hard, fought, and most importantly, he forgave. Because in the end, holding a grudge only keeps us trapped in the past. And Margaret? She learned the hard way that money disappears, but character remains. If this story touched you in any way, if you've been through something similar or know someone who has, like it. Comment below with your thoughts and subscribe to the channel to continue hearing stories that make us reflect on what truly matters in life.